And a goal without action is an illusion. And this is the problem. We have so many resolutions which end up becoming illusions.
So
That's the truth.
We're just running with illusions.
Exactly.
Here. Maybe, Dr. at this point, please define for us, give us the difference between resolutions and goals.
Resolutions are just aspirations, is things that you say, I want to be healthy in 2022.
Which means nothing.
It means nothing. A goal is where you say, I want to be healthy in 2022, and this is how I'll be. 2,000 kilometers, I will be able to, this is the diet that I'll be on. Not necessarily, it's called intermittent fasting. It's not those kind of things. It's the things that you'll be able to partake, and how much you will be able to partake, and defining all those things and making sure that you break it down to something that can be measured.
Actionable, measurable.
Precisely. So anyway, we are talking about career. So it must be life of being deliberate, and it must be futuristic. You must think about your retirement, Dennis. The other day I was listening, to one of my coach, actually one of my mentors, who was telling me, in retirement, what matters is not investments. What matters is cash. That's why many people are sending money into the villages, not because, parents are struggling, they have good investments, but those investments, they are not in cash. And what you exactly cash poor. So what and that's why within your career, that's why it is important you define, because after 55, do we retire at 55 or what?
Sometimes 55, sometimes 60. And
so exactly.
Right.
Beyond that point, what is it that we'll do? Right. So anyway, that's about your career. Now we get to your favorite.
But I think one of the things that we must work out of there is that distinction between what the organization wants and also what your person.
Precisely.
Because then you've got to set your path
precisely
as well. And
precisely.
So this is my path.
And it's also about, it's also a facet of three things, that when people ask me, Edward, how do I know that I have hit a career jackpot? To me, it's three things. It's about, number one, first and foremost, whether it is giving you joy. And this is something I want, your viewers to go and evaluate themselves. And if it doesn't tick, please quit that job. Quit that what you are doing. It's three things. One, does it give you joy? Do you feel passionate? Do you feel involved? Do you like it? Are you happy? Second thing is what I call flow, brain power. Are you using your brain power? Or is just, you are passing time? If you are engaged brain-wise, then it's the right thing for you. And the third thing is money. Is it paying you? If you can be able to have in three interlocking circles of flow, money, and joy, that thing in there, that's your career jackpot. And that's something I would like your viewers, to go and assess themselves with the current things that they are doing, whether it fits that jackpot, and therefore it becomes you have hit a jackpot when it comes to your number 5, which is your career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you have to build a vision around it.
Precisely. And remember, this passion, this joy is something that you build yourself. It's something that you cultivate by liking your job. I mean, to give you an example, many people think that I studied geography. Many people think that I studied environment. None of those.
Oh, you've not studied environment?
I'm an accountant. I've done business management.
Right.
I started working in KPMG.
Right.
Did 7 years of corporate finance.
Right.
Then realized I must do something to the world.
Right.
And started getting myself into climate change.
Right.
Today, this is what I talk about.
Absolutely.
This is about climate change.
Yeah.
And people are saying, oh, this guy is a climate expert.
Absolutely.
No, because you chat away, then you like it, you are passionate about it, you put the effort, you put the investment, and eventually you are there.
Here we are.
It's only a matter of time and effort.
Right.
But before you know it, you get there.
Right.
Unfortunately, and especially for the younger generation, we don't want to put the time.
Yep.
We think it can come overnight.
Unfortunately not.
Forget
It doesn't
about
work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like
It
that.
doesn't work like that.
Wow.
Let's talk about your favorite, money.
Oh, I can tell you we are many on that one. There must be many guys in that WhatsApp
Money
group.
is number 6.
Absolutely.
It is number 6.
Right.
And the key principle here is about, money is just about enabling. Not that money is bad. In fact, money is good because it enables us to, to have the nice things. And those nice things give us the positive energy. They help us to invest in our careers. They help us, to raise better families.
Right.
But the key point is that let's not be obsessed, about money. Let's not sacrifice all these other 5 things in front of money for the purposes of money. Because truly, if you do that, those 5 things matters, but if we focus on money, we will not have them. And we will live a very miserable life. We must work hard, we must earn money, but we must put money at its right place.
Correct.
So these deals that we keep on saying we are making deals at 3, at 2, at 5.
You have no time for family.
You have no time for family, you have no time for your career.
Right.
Man, it's a fallacy.
Right.
We must be able to balance it out, and we must figure out where money belongs. And with that, then we can be able to chase the money.
Right.
Money is good,
Yep.
but let's not prioritize it.
It's a means to an
It's a
end.
means to an end.
So let's not
That's the most
overglorify
important
it.
thing. But it's
Right.
also very important,
Yep.
that we define, at the beginning of the year, how much do I want my net worth to be? Remember that number 5, your career, is what feeds number 6.
Right.
So, and truly, you must be able to put them into sync. Remember I told you career jackpot?
Yep.
One of the elements is money,
It's paying you.
And at the end of the year, you need to say, I want to have achieved my net worth to be X. And of course, you have to define, how do I use my money? It's both for emergencies, it's for spend, it's also for your personal development, it's for your family development. All those factors need to be put in. You have a proper budget. Unfortunately, we don't have budgets. Many people don't have budgets, but this goal setting, calls for that. And for you to be able to remain in that game.
Sometimes I hear this budget question mentioned, and I guess for many people, it's a good thing in theory and in principle. But between the principle and actualizing,
is where it gets lost.
Becomes yes.
And it's going back to the same principle. Remember, the anchoring of this conversation is about, being deliberate. And trying to ensure that, you have a budget and the purpose. We all know why you need a budget.
It's a plan.
So that is a plan. So that then you cannot go to the excess or not do things, And therefore it is important, from that being deliberate to ensure that you have that budget. And I told you, people are lazy. We human beings, we are lazy. We have to push ourselves, and including myself. We are all work in progress when it comes to that. So we have to go one extra mile. That's what I call, work ethic, that discipline, that consists, to make sure it's there.
Right.
And the moment it is there, then at the end it will be beautiful, I can promise you.
Wow. I think it's important to know it's a means to an end. And it must not be chased after, purely
Correct.
at the sacrifice of
All these other things.
Life must be balanced.
Correct.
And it's a combination of all the spirituality, your health, both physical
and inner. It's about your family.
It's about your family.
It's about your career.
It's about your
and
career.
then you get money. And these are the three other things that we'll talk about.
Right.
Which are also very important,
Right.
and quickly going into the 7th one,
Yep.
which is what I call the circle of genius.
Right.
Circle of genius is your networks. I keep on telling people that show me your friends, and I tell how much money you earn. Show me your friends, I tell you how many mpango ya kando you have got.
Yep.
Show me your friends, and I tell you how many beers you take every night.
Right.
So you become your friends. You
Right.
become your network.
Right.
So that's why it is very important that, again, in a very deliberate way, that you invest and you have the right networks. For students, I tell them that show me your friends, and I show me their marks, and I tell you a grade. So if you want to upgrade that grade, to make it better,
Check the kind of friends you've got.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that is exactly what it is. But we shy away from that.
Yep.
And your networks becomes your worth. But you must also be very careful in terms of who is within that network. Are they genuinely in that? Because remember, there's a lot of shenanigans in this market.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shenanigans within, these networks. People who want to use you, people who are not, they just want you to benefit from the circumstances, and you must be able to select and say, this is what my network is. It's not 100 people, it's not 10 people, it could be 3 people. But those people, they help you to achieve that. A good example that I, normally encourage people to have is what I call a mastermind group. It's like what I call your board of directors, who sits, they don't judge you. They can tell you when it is going wrong, when it is going okay. But then you also give them advice. It's a board of directors.
Right.
So you have 7 people. They now say 15 minutes you're advising Edward. 15 minutes you're advising Dennis. And you share and you are willing to be vulnerable. Because that's also another powerful thing, to become vulnerable. And once you have that vulnerability, and it's not just about, putting the good things that are happening, because we also have that problem, as people, that we just want to tell the good things. We don't tell about the bad things.
Right.
So it's about putting everything on the table and having them without judging you, telling you how can we be able to move it forward. This is the power of the network.
And it must be a team that truly is genuinely invested in your well-being.
Precisely. And likewise, and vice versa.
And you also genuinely.
Precisely.
So it's not parasitic in any way, but it is laced with genuine.
Exactly. And these are people that you can be with for the next 15, 20 years.
And there is real value.
Real value out
you
of
deliver on the table and draw from the table.
Exactly. And that's just one example. It's also about where we work and what we do. You must be able to create those networks that you can rely on. Because your worth, as I said, is those networks. That's why it is important, when I'm counting my success, as number 7, I have to look at my network. I call it circle of genius.
Right.
Who are my circle? Who is in my circle?
Right.
And these are the people that, can help me to propel to the next
level. But I think, Dr. It must always be remembered. I think when it comes to networks, selection is the name of the game.
It is.
It is the name of the game. You can't probably be available for everybody.
Correct. And look at your life, Dennis. I mean, how many people have you come across? Right. How many have you dropped along the way?
A lot.
Exactly.
A lot.
That's
it's the name of the game.
Exactly.
You see, unlike family where you are born with, your sibling is your sibling.
Correct.
But I think when it comes to networks,
there's a choice.
Oh, it's exercising choice.
Exactly.
In fact, when you look at that network of friends, circle of genius, it must be a reflection of your quality of choices.
Correct.
That you have made.
And remember, it's also about upgrading you and upgrading them.
Right.
So all these factors of choice must be, and the qualities that you're checking must be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Number 7 is about adventure.
Right.
It's not all about work, Dennis. It's also about having some fun.
We loosen up sometimes.
Exactly. When is the last time you went dancing with your wife? That's a question.
Right.
Those are the things that you need also to put into our lives. Is when you go out, teaching yourself a new thing. Just recently I was making a joke that I started swimming. It's adventure.
Good stuff.
It's adventure, and you invest into it and you do it. That adventure makes us, that positivity I was talking about, is the visiting of the cities, the holidays that you're making, is the dinners, is, exotic things that you're doing here and there, just to put some level of excitement in life.
Some memories as well.
Exactly. And it's very important. It's also a way of measuring well. And lastly, which is our number 9. Is what I call impact. Not to say that it is the least important, but probably even one of the most important is about the difference that you make in this world.
Right.
That difference, many people try to misinterpret it, that it is only for the rich people. So if Edward wants to form a foundation, he must have $1 million in the bank, Let me tell you, making impact is not about, a factor of how much money you've got. It's the willingness, it's the dedication, and the why you want to make that impact. And all of us, if we were to do something, either our time, our money, our resources, to make a difference in this world, believe me, our world will be much better. Absolutely. Normally, I tell my kids that, we live in a borrowed world. We borrowed this world from future generations.
Absolutely.
So the question is, do we leave it as it were, or do we make it better? And that is where the impact comes in. Remember the same analogy I was telling you in the beginning? Who cried who will cry when you die? Because of the impact that you have made in this life. So to me, those are the 9, for Edward Mungai, those are the 9 domain areas that I focus on.
And just before you leave the 9th one, I think it's very powerful, because giving back is not necessarily a question of money.
No.
You could give of your gifts.
Correct.
Could give of your talents, could give of your time, just to make a difference.
Correct.
Somewhere.
Correct. And there is power in giving. A lot of people think that there's power in receiving, but I tell you, Dennis,
giving is more powerful.
Giving is more powerful.
Right.
And it gives joy. It elevates you to that next level.
Right.
You know, I don't know whether you have been involved in a charitable event for a whole day and in the evening you feel
Very rejuvenated.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Now, just imagine if you put that as part of your life goals, that giving back to the society will be key. And as I said, there's too many people willing. I mean, one good example, you know, I ran marathons.
Yes.
You know, one time I was going to
And I must say, man, I'm very honored. A 6-star general, my friend. There are not too many that way.
Thank you for that. You know.
6-star general, man.
Precisely. That means I have run Tokyo, Boston, New York, Chicago, London, and Berlin.
Oh.
You know, only 11 people in Kenya have done that. But anyway, the thing is,
Very honored that the Goldmine show could host one of those still.
the thing is that the thing is that you don't do this for your own self-glorification.
Right.
You do this for a reason.
Yep.
One of the reasons why I do is I do have something called kilometers for education.
Okay.
You know, where I educate through the money that I raise from friends. Not my money. My money is dot. But I have raised 5 million, 3 million shillings, you know, from friends to put in education of the young kids through these marathons. Now, the point I'm telling you is not being charitable is not a facet of money.
Yep.
It's just willingness and the ideas and wanting to do it.
Right.
That's how we make
else will be drawn into.
Exactly.
Right.
The universe will converge to help.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, Daktari, I mean, fantastic 9 pillars. And sometimes I think the challenge is not purely in the theory of it, but is in how you pick your 9 and make them actionable.
Correct.
Within the 24 hours window.
Correct.
That you have every day. And this, I want to get a bit personal with you.
Yeah.
Because then I want to know, how have you converted all of these wonderful things you've said into real practical spaces every 24 hours?
Well, yeah, and that's where the rubber meets the road. You know, we can all have these things. You can go home, I mean, view us and come up with your 9 domain areas and come up with goals.
Yep.
But believe me, it's and I have said this before, it's a work ethic that you do have. There's 5, you know, if you ask me, there are 5 enablers that you require to be able to achieve this. You need, number 1, routines. Routines are not boring. That's why organizations have, you know, standard operating procedures. This book is one of the routines, and I'll show you this book in a short while.
Yeah, I want us to go to this book, yes.
Because it's an idea of knowing what is it that I do every morning. The holy hour that I was talking about. Every morning I have to go down and do journaling. Every evening before I go to bed, I must be able to plan for the next day, which is the plan. I must also say, kind of, I don't want to call it a to-do list. It's called follow-up. What are the things that I want to do? You know, we were talking about family, and I didn't talk about relatives. You know, relatives is part of that.
Right.
And every day I can say, well, I want to, well, maybe not every day, but I have a goal that today I'm going to call my mom. If it is not in this book, I'm not going to call. So I have to be very deliberate on my follow-up to say, call mom, call a relative. And I'll make sure that by the end of the day, I call them.
The call.
Right?
Right.
And that's, so I was talking about, you know, it's about follow-up, it's about routines, it's about, you know, having the work ethic, which is critical. It's also about having a support mechanism. And the last one is follow-up. So I said 5 things, you know. It's about that will enable you practically to be able to achieve this. You must have the right routines. Those right routines is about the journaling that I'm talking about, is the reflections that I'm talking about, is that thing of, you know, having your holy hour as an example. But at the same time, you know, you must be able to follow up and say, you know, today I'm supposed to call mom as an example. In the evening or midday, you have to go back and check what are the things I haven't done. You know, and quickly say, let me call mom, and you call mom and you discuss and you close it. Then at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself 3 questions, which is what I call a routine in reflection. What are the things that I did well? What are the things I didn't do well? What can I do better tomorrow? Remember, this is 24 hours. And then tomorrow you'll be able to improve. Remember, it's also about, you know, that support mechanism that you have. It's your coach. Coach is very important. Many of people think it's a waste of money. And I tell you, in the last 4 years, there's nothing which have added so much value to me other than a coach. He becomes your accountability partner. He guides you through that journey. He's the mentors that you've got. He's the mastermind group that I was talking about. You know, is your family, is your wife, is your kids. This is a support mechanism that you require. And once you have those things, it becomes, you know, so practical. It becomes possible. Now, this, what I'm talking about here, I must put a caveat. I told you I've been grinding for the last 15 years.
Right.
It's not something I developed in 1 year.
Right.
It's not something I developed. It will be difficult. But the truth of the matter is that it is messy in the beginning. You know? A little bit tough in the middle, but gorgeous at the end. So it's a matter of, you know, just investing and applying yourself to that journey and saying it's a journey of transformation. And within 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it will be beautiful.
So if I get you right, and still also picking from your 15 years journey, is to say that, for example, as I look at 2022, I'm looking at 2022, yes, but not just 2022 as an end within itself.
Correct.
But as a pie of another 5 years journey that I want to make. And here is the contribution 2021 is going to make into the next 5 years.
Correct, correct.
And therefore, should some of those disciplines stumble and fumble, then I'm able to be a bit graceful to myself and understand.
Correct. And don't cane yourself too much.
And don't overkill
and believe that you're a human being.
Yes.
It's also the same. You have this book, you have the 4 quadrants.
Yes.
You know, yesterday you didn't fill in the quadrant of your plan.
Right.
Next day you didn't do that.
Right.
Be at peace.
Right.
What I'm saying is that it have taken me many years to perfect
this. So the following morning I wake up and give myself yet another opportunity at that routine.
You start again.
And as I keep repeating this routine,
it will become.
It becomes another nature for you.
It will become
another nature.
That's what life is about.
And that helps me then to begin to fight distractions, for example. Because distractions are quite something, Dr. Rick.
Mobile phone by itself is 160 distractions a day. Mobile phone.
160 distractions a day. I'm going back to that number of
160 distractions a day.
Right.
So you better figure out what do I need to do to make them 80.
And how?
And then 40.
How did you do that for yourself?
All notifications are switched off.
Yeah.
You know, I now want to introduce this thing I call kitchen safe.
Right.
That once from 8 o'clock, I go deposit my phone in the kitchen safe.
Right.
Probably until midday.
Right.
And then therefore I have my 4 hours of, you know, game time.
Right.
Then I can go pick it. That way I have probably killed 50 distractions.
Right.
Then later on in the afternoon, you know, the idea is what works for you.
So you're almost even scheduling when you're dealing with your phone,
almost. And that's what it's all about. It's about scheduling the 24 hours and making sure you follow those 24 hours. Remember I told you take care of 24 hours, your life will be sorted. But of course you have to know what is this you are sorting out.
You must have defined it.
You must have defined it.
And therefore make the goal such an audacious goal.
And then break it.
Every sacrifice I'm making in between becomes well worth it.
Correct. And helps you to once that.
And therefore, as I pay this price, it's for a worthy goal.
Exactly.
But if that goal is not worth it, then these sacrifices is too heavy.
And true. And that goal there must be scary, must be big, must be hairy, must be audacious. Because, you know, sometimes we set goals, which then you, at the end, you get it and you say, oh man, was that a goal? So it must be scary, so that then you can be able to put the effort. You can have to have that discipline, that consistency, you know, to be able to push it. That's what it calls for.
Drawing the greatness that you must become. And
that's what it's all about.
The picture of where you must go.
And the map how you must go there.
And the map.
Precisely. And then breaking, and by the way, another big thing that I forgot, almost forgetting, is that you must also celebrate the small wins. You know, along the journey, daily wins, please celebrate them. That's gratitude. That's what you do in your journaling. You are grateful today because yesterday was such an exceptional day. You know, I achieved 5 things that I had laid out to achieve, which will help me in 2027 to be where I want to be, or 2032. Where I want to be when you are 45, when you are 35, when you are 60. That's the game.
Wow. You know, earlier on you told me you have a book that has a different color every year. And maybe you may just want to talk to me about it.
Yeah, so this is
fascinating.
This is the thing.
Yep.
That we are sold a lot of gadgets. Research have shown that there is a connection between your brain and your hands. Now, we sell ourselves short by typing our goals, our resolutions, as you call them, on apps. Now, I realized this 15 years ago, that when I'm downloading my thoughts into a book or into a paper, it becomes a different game from, typing it on my computer. Again, I might lose my computer. Again, it takes effort to go and find the file for 2022, and sometimes, in the folder or in the cloud. So what I decided is that I must look for an inspirational book, notebook, which again can allow me the possibility of having 4 in a year, because every quarter I approximately fill 196 pages of this. It's A4. I cut it into 4 pieces. If we go into the 4 pieces, each piece have its own direction.
And maybe I'll ask for a shot of this, yes.
It's about, let's probably take this 6th of January. Yep. This was yesterday, right?
Yeah, 6th of January. It's even dated here.
6th of January.
Right.
So the first quarter is about plan. Mm-hmm. That is what will I do that whole day. Mm-hmm. Starting from the waking time all the way to 8 p.m. when I'm sleeping. Mm-hmm. Then I have my journal. Mm-hmm. These are my thoughts, these are my worries, these are my ambitions. Then I have the follow-up that I told you, that these are the things that I want to do that day. And finally, it's about before I sleep. And before I make the plan for the following day, because this is made the previous night, is to start thinking about.
So this is a plan for now 7.
For 7. But made on 6th night.
Right.
Before I go to sleep. This
so
part.
This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 pages are about 6th of January.
Precisely. And that's why, Dennis, if you ask me, Edward, 2012, 7th of March, what did you do?
You just said, give me a moment.
Give me a moment, I get home. I get home.
Yep.
And I'll be able just to pull that book and I'll tell you, this is it.
This is what I did.
This is it. All the meetings that I had, all of them are documented there. All the thoughts, all the things that I've done are documented on that day. It's called a system. It's called standard operating procedures. It's what makes us efficient. And I tell you, to perfect this, please don't misunderstand me. It will take you time. But with the right guidance, it will be done.
Part of why this for me is very fascinating is because, like I said, it's not in the theory that we miss it, but it is in the
practical and the practical part of it.
That we can say today, 7th of January,
correct,
8th of January, 20th of January, or whichever the date the viewer gets to watch this, they can actually come and pick and say, here, I've journaled my thoughts, my reflection, what I was to do.
And in a very specific way, my plan, my journal, the things that I'll aim to do that day, finally is the reflections.
So your book is actually in 4 quadrants. Every
page is 4 quadrants.
Plan,
irrespective,
journal, follow-up,
reflections. As you can see for today, there's nothing on reflection because the day is still new. And most of this is done in the evening. This is what I do during the day. Now, once I'm done here, believe me, one of the things that I'll do is to think about how did that go.
And you'll have something to do on the reflection side of things.
Exactly. Next time when you invite me, I'll do it different.
So today, if I try to call you at 9:15, I won't find you, man.
Well,
you'll be gone.
I'll be gone. I'll be gone. People have tried. But those who knows me now, they know.
And you have taught them how to interact with you.
Precisely. And it becomes,
So it's not you in their routines.
No.
If I want to work with Dr. Mungai, this is how I work with him.
Exactly. And it becomes natural with time.
So you take control of how your day goes.
Exactly. The 24 hours, remember, is your life. Your days becomes your weeks. And your weeks becomes your months. Your months becomes your years. Your years becomes your life.
So in effect, man, you're commanding your everyday.
Precisely.
You're being very deliberate
but it
and
on
very
it,
intentional.
on it.
You have owned your day.
Precisely. Now, this is a very interesting thing.
Yep.
Dennis, that's January.
January 2022 plans.
It starts here,
Up from the goals.
Of 2022. All of them are here. But remember, as the year goes, that's why you are seeing some gaps. Because as we go by, you might want to add things.
Yep.
Eventually it will end up being 100. Now it's about 81. As
So
you
I see spiritual gold.
and you can count. It's 28. This whole line. This is 30. This is 19. This is 3. So this is about 80 goals.
And it's interesting. I mean, all the pillars you talked about, the spiritual goal is here, the physical goal is here, the inner health, the family goals, the career goals.
I told you it will be many.
Financial, circle of genius.
Adventure. And impact. And maybe other things that will come along the way. Based on this, now you cascade it to a month. Again, the same theory.
Because this was for the year.
That was for the year.
So then we come to January.
This is January. And at the end of January, I have to sit and ask myself, Edward, how did it go?
So how often do you review? How often do you do your reviews?
First of all, the first review is a daily. That's reflection.
You go to come and
exactly, the reflection. And think about how did I spend that. Then the week, when the week ends, then I have to sit down and say, how did the week go? Then after that, then I have to look at the month. And even my coach is one of the discussions at the end of the month. I have one coaching session every month. Is to ask, how did January go?
So you meet your coach once
a month. And we agree, this is what I'm going for. These are the challenges. How can we address? Let's discuss. These are the tools that you require. At the end of the day, January, did you become exceptional? Because you told me 2022, you want to be exceptional.
They keep reminding you.
Exactly. And that's the power of a coach. That's why we all need a coach. Unfortunately, we take it for granted. We think it's waste of time, waste of money. In fact, some companies are paying for their staff to go do coaching, but people don't take that opportunity. And yet it's one of the support mechanisms that you should have. Do you have board of directors? Is the mastermind. So viewers, the next thing that you should do is to invest in a board of directors. Get your friends.
Success is intentional, man.
It is. That's what it's all about.
It's intentional.
It is.
It is clarity. It is mastering your last 24 hours.
24 hours.
It is
putting the right routines, visualizing what you want, and always,
big hairy, audacious
goal, and everything will be sorted out. At the end of it, you'll say, I did the things that I wanted to do. You will have no regrets. And at the same time, it's about 9 things which are very balanced. It's your health, it's your family. You will not miss anything. For some people, it will be 10. They can add. For others, it will be 5. But the end of the day is that you have defined it, and it's a balance. That's what we want.
15 years ago, I can imagine starting this was messy, like you said.
Yes.
15 years later,
it is actually the way I put it is difficult in the beginning, is messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. That's how it
works. Must be at the gorgeous side of things now.
Trying. Work in progress.
You must have already gone through your messy.
It's still work in progress, my brother.
Yeah.
It's still work in progress, and we are all work in progress. It's all about life. Is about self-improvement.
Right.
Continuing improving on a daily basis.
Right.
If that is the mentality that you've got, it will be okay. You know that you're humble to say that I'm work in progress, but at the same time, each and every day is a day to wake up to a new challenge and improving yourself.
Right.
That's what we need. And eventually, we'll get to that place we call gorgeous, as you call it.
Wow. It would be unjust of me to end the show without just allowing you to comment 2 or 3 things about the environmental stuff that you're very passionate. That I'm surprised to know that was not your beginning. Please.
Well, again, it's all about, setting out the 9 goals and determining what you want in each one of them.
Right.
For me, for my career, is about environment and transitioning or helping more than 50 million people by the time I get to hit 50 to have better livelihoods. This is my waking big, hairy, audacious goal for the next 5 years.
50 million.
50 million people transformed in the continent of Africa.
Right.
Now, once you have that, is to build the structure, build the infrastructure that you require to enable you to be able to do that.
Right.
And every waking moment is thinking about that and championing it. And before you know it, people will call you climate change expert. And yet you are not one, but you have invested into it to become one.
Right.
That's how it is all about.
Right.
So, and truly, this is the thing, about taking care of the environment. I was telling you that we have borrowed this world from future generations. If we continue consuming and producing the way we have been doing in a very unsustainable way, unfortunately, it will not help us. So for corporates, for government, we must be very deliberate and think about how can we embed sustainability within our business model. Edward Mungai is here to help in that journey if you do wish to, to become that which you want in sustainability, and life will be beautiful. It's not about doing it to feel good, Dennis. No, we are already past that. It's no longer cosmetic. It's no longer CSR. It's sustainability and embedded in business, which is doing good is good business. That is my job. Fantastic. That's my career.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Allow me to take this as a last question, Dr. You were not initially an environmental guy. You're an accountant, you're a business, and you have invested a couple of years on that line of your career. And at some point then, it sounds to me you've shifted from
Correct.
what it used to be. And why this is important for me is because sometimes we feel like we are trapped. And there may be many, today you transition out of choice. There are many people who walk through careers, and it was one of our goals here, feeling trapped, not loving what you do, not flowing with what you do. Maybe money almost feels like a fate question. And we've spent the last couple of minutes really discussing how you then take control of your own life. That transition, what informed it, what inspired it, how did it go, how did you go about it? And how do you finally land at this place that says, yeah, I am truly in charge of this destiny, I'm steering this ship in the direction it must. I mean, environment and business, those are two different things.
You know, Dennis, one of the things that I tell people, if I would like to be a millionaire in dollar terms, one of the things that I should be doing is to help people discover their purpose. Because if you help people to discover their purpose, you can be a millionaire in dollar terms. Unfortunately, nobody can help you to determine your purpose. You have to figure it yourself. And this is the step, this is the investment that many of us are not willing to take. 15 years ago, I sat with myself. And I was kind of figuring, and it's not a one-day sitting. It's not a two-day sitting. It's this journaling that I'm talking about here. It starts sending themes. And those themes is your purpose. You'll start seeing some level of, congruence, similarity. And when you package it, voila, it's about environment. That's where I belong. And now, once you define that, the next step is to invest time and money to acquire the skills that are required for that. And that's help you to transition. Unfortunately, we are not investing enough time to determine our purpose in this life. We are grinding day after day. We are living a day after the other. It's a rat race. Right. And until we invest and we go and say, genuinely, I want to know who I am, that self-awareness is what will catapult you to figure out what is it that you want in life, and you go for it. This is exactly what happened for me.
And I can imagine it's not, you didn't transition because there was a struggle in what you were before in terms of from a professional career, stuff of thing, but it's because you wanted to be true to yourself.
Exactly. I'm thinking about, when I'm 70, when I'm 60, what would I want to be known of? I was in investment banking. I was head of regional office for the African continent for DFI, Development Financial Institution. But is that what I want to be known for at the end when I'm 70?
So you had already scaled heights.
Precisely.
And so it was not even a question of heights or no heights.
Exactly. It was a question about, when I die,
right,
who will cry? It's about that. And what difference will I have made in this world? It could be done in investment, yes, of course, if that is your calling. But you have to figure out and truly understand and discover what is it that, your life is all about. Life of purpose is what we want. This is it. This is the 9 domain areas.
For you, it was not about another job. It was about purpose.
And it will never be about another job. It's about the difference, the purpose. What is it that you want to do with your life? And if we all were able to live that purposeful life, we would unlock our potential a way you can't believe it. It's about unlocking that potential. But it calls for journaling, it calls for reflection, it calls for you calling yourself for a meeting. Not once, not twice. Consistently. And discovering what are the themes and going for them.
That potential is what we call the gold mine in here. And we say
Precisely.
Inside of us is a lot of gold mines, untapped
Yes.
undertapped.
Yes.
And we've got to do all we must
To untap those and to unlock
untap
people
and
potential.
unlock
And I
that.
really, really commend you for what you are doing.
Right.
This is how we make the difference.
Right.
People will cry when you
Right.
die
Right.
because of the transformation that you have made, my brother.
Hallelujah. Actually, you know, we could go on, and I'm loving every bit of this conversation.
Yeah.
We could, and I must really thank you so
Yeah.
much just for so freely sharing of yourself. See, this, I pray that then does not become another new year, another resolution
Correct.
setting. It becomes different, man,
And it becomes practical.
and becomes
And
practical.
when we get to 31st of December,
Right.
people will have smiles on their faces.
Absolutely.
Because of what they have achieved in those 365 days.
That's my prayer.
That's what it's all about.
That's my prayer.
Super.
That's my prayer.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Well,
Thank you.
folks, there you have it, man. It's not about making another resolution. You have made many, most of which you probably don't even remember by the 20th of January. You probably are taking the same resolutions that you have taken before. But I hope you pick something out of Dr. conversation today. It is not about resolution. It's about practical goals. It is about being clear. It's about clarity. It's about a big, hairy, audacious goal. It's about routines. It's about the support system. It's about clarity. It's about action. And it's about all of these things and being very intentional about where you want to go, man. They said sometimes a routine, if you can keep it, eventually it keeps you. Dr. has been at it for the last 15 years, and evidently the routine is now keeping him, and he's able to then be very disciplined and very focused about what it is that he wants to become. And that's how you unleash the gold mine inside of you, man. I want to encourage you to share this show with just as many. I hope you took enough notes. Share it out there, my friend, because 2022 and the years ahead must be different from every year we've had before. We're transitioning ourselves. In fact, I can as well say it from Dr. Stop making resolutions, my friend. Start having some clear goals. Get them hairy and audacious. Let them shake you out of your bed every day. Paint them out somewhere. Check them out every day. Remain true to them and move it to the realm of action. Practical actions, my friend. We shared with you Dr.'s journal. You want to do some of this stuff because we want to see you become the greatness that you truly are. And you know, at the Goldmine Show, we want to remain to be one of your biggest cheerleaders, reminding you, and we will not tire to remind you that there is greatness on the inside of you, but to unleash it, it takes more than resolutions. It takes goals, it takes discipline, it takes a routine, it takes your support system and everything that Dr. so freely shared with us today. We deliberately did this at the beginning of the year because we want to help you make 2022 a different year from any other year, so that you become the greatest version of the gold mine that you truly are. And want to remind you, share this and follow us on the Goldmine Show on Facebook, on Instagram as well. Subscribe right here on YouTube, my friends, and let's continue growing a great community, the Goldmine community that believes in the greatness inside of us, but not only believes in it, but does something about it, moves to the action realm so that we become the greatness that we truly can be. Until next time, God bless you. Want to wish you a great 2022, and I hope we can review it in December when you have done all that you needed to have done and become the greatness that you must be. Until next time, God bless you, and keep working on the greatness inside of you and becoming the gold mine that you truly are. God bless you, and happy 2022.